Well, I've got a question for you. Inquiring minds and Bombas socks want to know, are you the sock giver in your family? It is one of the staple gifts that I give at Christmas time. And when I gift them, I want to make sure that they are really a good quality sock, because especially the men in my life, well, they are very, very picky. I also love a gift that's a 2-for-1. And by that, I don't mean buy one, get one free. I mean that by buying this gift, you are also giving back, because every one you purchase is one that's donated. I bought some of the gripper socks for me. I love the way I can do yoga, or I can be working on one of my apps just in my kitchen on my hardwood floors, and they've got these dots on the bottom that really grip the floor and they help stabilize me. And they're thick and they're cushiony, and I love that about them, because I'm somebody who likes to bake and housekeep in my socks. So I'm going to check out the Cozy Shop, because in their Cozy Shop, for yourself and for your loved ones, they have some that are merino wool that really make you love wool. I mean, not the scratchy kind. They have cashmere ones for those in your family that really like a little bit of elevation to their life. And then they also have these fuzzy socks that, well, they just make you feel comfortable and warm and cozy, both inside and out. They really are a purpose-driven company. They make the #1, the #2, and the #3 most requested clothing items for homeless shelters, things like socks and underwear and t-shirts. So I really encourage you to look at this, something that for the holidays will make you feel and your loved ones feel good inside and out. Well, I can't believe it, but it's almost time for us to start composing our Thanksgiving tables, or at the very least, planning and thinking about them. So I've already picked out my china, my table linens. I'm starting to think about the centerpiece, etc., etc. And while I'm doing it, so is our buddy John Turman. He is starting to plan his Thanksgiving tablescape, and he's going to play with us today. He's going to play with his china and his linens, and he's going to come up with something that will really make his Thanksgiving table spectacular. So thank you, John, for doing this in my absence, and who knows, you guys may like his a lot better than mine.
Take it away, John.
Thanks, Linda. Good morning, Stuart. Glad you're here. Let's see what we can do at my house with Thanksgiving. I've decided this year to use, well, first, I'm going to start with what I always do, which is a Kanta quilt on the table. I know we've talked about these a lot. These are made in India. They're very inexpensive. And our friend Lynn Sanchez sells these at her shop, Sukasa, here in Oklahoma City in the Paseo. So thanks, Lynn, for these. These are great. But anyway, I decided this year that I wanted to use some china, actually ironstone, that I bought at an estate sale, actually an estate auction, probably 40-something years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I just love these colors. I think this orange and the green is just really pops. And as I said, it's Mason's, but I've never been able to identify it correctly. There is a pattern from Mason's called Mandalay, which is a similar drawing, but the colors are all different. And anytime I find this online, people always identify it as Mandalay, but I'm not sure that it is, unless Mandalay was made in another colorway. So if anybody knows anything, if there's a Mason's collector, right, please help me out. I've owned these, like I said, over 40 years, and I've still yet to do it. I even took them to Antiques Roadshow, and they didn't come up with the right answer. Oh, wow. So, right. So we don't really know. But anyway, I thought these would be fun to use for Thanksgiving this year. The colors are not quite as traditional as you might think, but we're going to add some stuff to this to make it feel a little more fallish, I believe. And by the way, I do have Thanksgiving dishes, but I decided not to do that. So, yeah. So I do have some Johnson Brothers, His Majesty, if you all know that pattern, the one with the turkey on it. So what did I just step on? But I decided I wanted to do this because I haven't used these in a long time. Yeah, those glasses I've had a long time too. Those are Dansk. And remember, Dansk was so popular for probably in the late 80s and early 90s, and these are called, the pattern's Mesa. Okay, we'll get some of this plotted out here, and then we'll come back and do some adjustments. I think I'll get the silverware next.
Have you done a different thing every year that you've done this, or is there some years that you kind of do the same thing every year?
I'm going to make some noise. Yes, I usually do something different every year. One of my favorite Thanksgiving tables is set with the china that I think I used last year or the year before for Christmas, which is that white rose point, which is kind of an old-fashioned pattern. And I think we've talked about this. You know, I'm not a big seasonal person, so I really don't. Even though I have those Thanksgiving dishes, they're not my favorite thing to use always, and I don't have Christmas dishes. I don't do that, so I like to do other things with it. And so in this flatware, which I think is kind of fun, is not expensive at all. Again, an old Williams-Sonoma purchase.
I like the handles.
Yeah, and I think for fall that's kind of a nice look, which is kind of sad because I ought to be using the silver, but I think this is a good look. So we're going to do this year. Whoops, 2 dinner forks will not work.
I couldn't get this right to save my life, probably.
Oh, I bet you could. Okay, like I said, we'll come back and straighten all this up in a minute. And then, kind of to make it a little more Thanksgiving-like, I thought we'd use these brown napkins, which I think is kind of unexpected with this, but it adds a little bit of a
It matches that black in the plate.
fall.
The dark in the plate, I guess.
Yeah, it's really dark blue.
Interesting. Oh, it is. I kept the camera made it look blacker, yeah.
Yeah, it probably did, but it's really dark blue.
Starting to look good.
And these napkins are like 3 or 4 years old from Pottery Barn, clearance section. So there's always a story about where things come from. And then I thought we would add some green to the table, some more green, a little different green. I got these glasses this summer at the Container Store, again, off of the clearance shelf. And let's see, let's add the flowers.
This is the cool.
So I went to Trader Joe's, and you never know what you're going to find at Trader Joe's, of course, so you can't plan until you get there. I did take a picture of the plate with me so I could see some colors. But, of course, I immediately saw these orange flowers, which I think are just terrific, and had no idea what they were. They weren't labeled. It just said seasonal or something on it, and got home and Googled them, and they are safflower. So that's the orange version of safflower. I think they come in yellow and orange. And then these spiky green things are called green dragon aster. And then, of course, there are mums and magnolia, which I like to use because that comes out of my own yard. So,
And the pot was included?
the pot is something I've had, again, forever. I think that's a Williams-Sonoma from a long time ago, too. And I like that dark blue because it picks up the blue in the
It
plates.
does. Now that I know it's blue, it looks really good.
Now you see that blue, don't you? And then I thought we would add some votives to the table. Kind of sprinkled in. Oh, actually, before we do that, I want to add these. So I have 2 of these hens, or I guess these are rooster, which were my grandmother's that are, I think, Italian pottery Stengel, which is a brand I've heard of that I think has been around for a long time. You want to get that? People probably will recognize that.
Yeah.
So these were my grandmother's, and I had grown up knowing these all the time. And then a friend, her father-in-law died, and there were 2 of these guinea hens in it.
Just matches right.
In the estate sale. And I think they're marked differently, but they're also Italian. So I think those are really cool. And again, I just love the colors. I know they're not turkeys, but
It's close.
it's some kind of fowl,
It works.
which provides some color and just some interest to the table. I think I'll just use, let's see, what do I want to do here? Stuart and I are walking around this table in circles. We're going to get busy.
It's kind of cool.
Actually, maybe you should come over here.
The table looks great. It really is. Like, yeah, it's cool. Watching it come to life is neat.
And then we'll put this over here. I think I'll just use one of the roosters this time instead of both of them. Things in odd numbers work well. I'm going to come behind you. Okay, now we'll add some votives to the table. And again, I'm just using kind of some non-traditional colors here just to get some interest. Everything doesn't have to be brown or orange or even gold or whatever you might do, but see that over there. And they don't even all have to go. They can just kind of go wherever on the table. And then we'll add some tea lights. I always try to pull the wick up first so that I can get them lit when it's time.
Smart.
Don't want to put it. Almost put it in the water glass. So I'll use obviously the tall glass will be our wine glass, and we'll use the short one for water. And you have to kind of make sure you don't get the votives underneath the flowers because you don't want
All thinking
to
of good stuff.
cook anything here.
Yeah, Linda's slowly teaching me how to actually burn candles. Just burn down the middle, just burn them home to where they don't work the whole way through. Right?
She's a master at that.
Yeah.
I don't really pay attention. Looks like I'm short one tea light. Let's see if I can find another one. Okay, now we got those on. And then I think, I mean, you might think this is enough, but I think we should add some stuff out of my marble fruit bowl over here. Maybe to get some more green and orange. And
They can't touch these things, but yeah, those are heavy marbles.
they're marble. And I think these are Italian. This is a fig, which I think is just, I love that color. I got these at an estate sale, 2 or 3 different estate sales actually. Well, it seems like the first one, I bought 3 like years ago in San Francisco at Gump's, if you remember that store. And then I started finding them at estate sales. But I think people must have collected them at some point.
It's neat to find pieces from different places that all go together
Yes,
in one thing.
it is.
It's a good feeling. Connection.
There's a pear. I don't know.
It just
Okay.
It adds a little, doesn't it?
I think for a little straightening up here. I'm not going to get my ruler out and measure like I did on Downton Abbey, but I do like to make sure, because we have a round table, it's nice to make sure the plates kind of meet up across and just kind of get everything. And you want to make sure too that the glassware and everything is where people can use it without knocking something over, which I have made that mistake sometimes, right? Okay, I think that'll be it. Now I have to come up with a menu.
This is true.
Haven't figured that out yet. We've still got a couple of weeks here, so
Man, it looks amazing.
or 10 days.
I'm curious to see what Linda says.
I know, me too. I'm curious to see Linda's table.
I know, right?
See what she comes up with. I know that there'll be different pieces because we don't have the same stuff, which will be great. But I bet we have some similar ideas.
Yeah, well, thank you, John.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
Glad you stopped by.
Absolutely.